In this video, I want to discuss a few important ways that consumer psychology can affect product pricing. Reference prices. A reference price is a price that customers use as a basis of comparison when assessing prices in the marketplace. It can often be the price customers expect to pay. Reference prices can be formed in several ways: your past prices, competitors' prices, the last price paid, prices of similar products or exemplars for your category, and advertised prices. Customers tend to have well-formed prices for frequently purchased products, for products where there is a limited range in prices and quality, when the shopper is price sensitive and takes the time to become knowledgeable about prices, and when there's a high degree of price competition, making price more salient in the marketplace. Value. The value of a product is frequently judged by two factors. First, its price relative to a reference or reservation price, and second, whether the price seems fair. Based on the ideas of Nobel Prize winner Dan Kahneman and others, psychologists think that customers often have a value function in their head, like what is depicted here. Value is in the vertical axis. The horizontal axis is gains and losses from a reference. For example, if the price is lower than the reference, you were to the right in the domain of gains. If the price is above the reference, you are to the left in the domain of losses. If your price equals the reference, you are at the origin. There are three defining characteristics for the relationship between gains and losses and value. First, value is driven by changes from the reference, which can be the status quo. Second, the relationship is S-shaped, exhibiting diminishing returns. Third, the relationship is steeper in the domain of losses than it is in the domain of gains. Psychologists call this loss aversion. For the same change from the reference, the drop in value on the loss side exceeds the gain in value on the gains side. Nobel Prize winner Richard Thaler wrote about the implications of the value function in his seminal work that he called Mental Accounting. If we believe that customers are using the value function to arrive at their assessment of a product's value, what should marketers do? First, segregate product benefits. When a seller has a product with more than one dimension, it is desirable to have each dimension evaluated separately. A good example here is the bonus item if you call now ads from late night TV. Second, integrate negative costs into one complete price. Losses hurt, so seek to add the cost onto a larger purchase. Examples here include options in an automobile, or charging for your entire degree rather than by the credit hour. Third, cancel losses against larger gains. An example here is tax withholding from your paycheck. Imagine if you had to make a payment to the government each time your paycheck arrived. And finally, segregate silver linings. That is, pull out a small gain from a large loss. Here, an example is rebates given when you purchase an automobile. Let's shift to another topic. Consider the stylized example of a market defined on two dimensions: price in the vertical axis, where lower prices are preferred to higher prices, and quality or features in the horizontal axis, where higher quality is preferred over lower quality. The market has two competitors. You are the high price, high quality option. The competitor is the lower price, lower quality option. How can you increase your market share? Economists would say that consumers are rational, and the only way to increase your market share is to get on a higher indifference curve. That is, either charge a lower price for the same quality or offer more quality for the same price. Psychologists would say there is another way. Consumer preferences are often formed from the available choice set, and a clever marketer can influence preferences by affecting the choice set. Consider what psychologists call the attraction effect. By adding an asymmetrically dominated option to the choice set, you can increase your share. Asymmetrically dominated means that that is both higher priced and lower quality compared to your product, but not compared to the competitor. A rational buyer would never choose this decoy over your product. There could be many reasons why your share increases, but a commonly cited one is that the buyer without well-formed preferences now has a reason or justification to choose you. You are better than the decoy product. You can sometimes see this in practice in retail settings, as the retailer controls what is on the shelf, though I'm sure they do not call it the attraction effect. The now closed electronics retailer, Circuit City, was thought to engage in this practice frequently. They would place a higher priced, inferior product on the shelf next to the product they really wanted to sell you, giving the salesperson the ability to say, "And look, the product right next to this is higher priced with fewer features. The product you are looking at is a great buy." A second way that psychologists argue that marketers can affect customer preferences by altering the available choices is what they call the compromise effect. It is also known as extremeness aversion. The idea here is to add an option so that on a price-quality continuum, you become a compromise or middle option for customers without well-formed preferences. You see this in steakhouses, which have Salisbury steak and Chateaubriand for two that act as extremes to help you justify your choices for the middle options. There was a famous research study about how consumers choose wine at a restaurant. In many cases, the highest margin wine for a restaurant is the second cheapest option on the menu. This is because they have figured out that cheapskates do not want to look cheap, so instead of buying the cheapest option, they buy the second cheapest option. This concludes this video.